morning, everyone. It's a bright, shiny morning. So we might get a little bit of reflection. I can see as the sun comes in, but beautiful to see the sun regardless. I'll just wait a few moments for everyone to jump on in, and I know that you can hear or see me. It takes a few seconds for it to all process, so we'll give it some time. If you are all good and ready, you might like to lie down. We're going to do pranayama in our lying position, because we're going to start with some lying poses. A little bit of short but sweet this morning, for the very reason, sometimes at this hour, if you've got to head off to work, it's nice to get a sneak in a little half an hour just to energize you and set that beautiful tone for the morning. So I can see, yes, gorgeous, good morning. Di, nice to see you. In Sue, awesome. So head on down. If you've got a bolster, use it. I've still got my socks on because it's a little bit fresh this morning. I'm going to take them off though. So remember, bolster pops underneath the backs of those knees as we head on down. Just 5 minutes to connect into the breath. Then we've got some lying stretches. I'm going to slowly get us up. Then we'll finish with a little sort of invigorating vinyasa, but as you know, I won't throw you there first. I like to prime up that body. So let's just settle in for me here. Just get super comfy. Okay, we've got 5 or so minutes here just to connect into the breath. We want to make it really valuable. We don't want to be thinking about the back is uncomfortable or my neck is not nice, or I wish I had a little light pillow underneath the back of my head. So get that sorted first, and then you've got 5 minutes of pure bliss of breath work. Just notice the breath here. Just notice it slowly and steadily coming in and out through the nose. See how smooth and steady you can make the breath. Just noticing that it doesn't feel jerky or that it's not rushed. Perhaps you can start to notice how the chest feels all the way from the very base of the lungs, all the way up to the collarbones. Just to notice how we can get that full expansion to the chest here. And then maybe in turn the belly rises as well. All the breath gets emptied on the exhale. Perhaps we imagine that the lungs are like those 2 sponges, just trying to wring them out and empty them fully. This allows us to truly notice the difference between the 2 breaths, that full inflation of the lungs. full deflation, emptying and letting go. Just notice the natural rhythm of the breath. Just like a series of waves that just flows in and out. Just a natural, like the ebb and flow of a wave. And we're going to allow that breath to stay with us as we start to work through our preparatory, our pre sort of work. This will be done by removing the bolsters when you're already out from underneath the backs of the legs. We'll stay lying down, so come back down, and we'll take some work through the sides of the body, part of the body that often gets closed down, particularly overnight when we sort of huddle up into a little tight ball. So walk both, keep them along the legs, but walk them both out towards the left-hand side here. This is what we call that banana-rama. Yeah. Head and shoulders will do the same. Wriggle, head, shoulders. Yeah, nice. And then maybe we add the arms. They come overhead here. And don't worry if you can't bring the arms overhead, it's all right. Just maybe even just the hands behind the head is fine here. We're opening up down this whole right side of the body. So encourage that by pressing out and away with your right heel. See, can we make that length exist down the right side? And maybe it's just this gentle sort of hold of the elbow, the right elbow, tug, and have it nice and close into the side of your right ear. You roll the right hip down to the floor. So we want to watch that we don't lose contact on that right side. And then just allow yourself to soften into it and breathe perhaps into this right side of your body, opening up through those very small, tiny little intercostal muscles in the rib bones. Good. And then as we soften, it's almost like the body sort of slips back into shape, the legs will slide back to center. We might need to move the head and the shoulders, but we know we're going to go out to the right now. Walk those legs out. And same with the head and the shoulders. I do this little wriggle too. Good. And maybe the arms get to come overhead. Holding on, reaching out through our left heel, rolling our left hip down. And that gentle hold of this left elbow as we tug it over into the ear. Breathing now nice and deeply into our left side body. Good. Relaxing, letting everything sort of spill back into the center of our mat. Good. Realign ourselves so we feel like we're nice and square on the mat. Walk your feet in. Good. Just a nice flop and drop, nothing fancy just to start off with, but again, just opens up through this lower sacral part of the back. And the knees just float left and right, nice and gentle. Good. Next time they find their way down towards the left, we're going to hold them down there. And only if it feels okay do we weight them down a little more. And that would be by using the left leg And just gently pulling the right leg down to the mat more, and noticing how that really becomes more open to the this top right hip here. So shoulders will stay on. It's fine that this right bottom lifts off the mat. It will, it's allowed to. Good, we'll ease it back. We'll just do the same right over left. And if it feels okay, we pull it down. If not, we'll just let it stay there by itself. We won't use that extra little tug of the knee. Much stronger as we add that right knee pull down. Good, back to the center. And placing the feet onto the floor. With our right hand, come down and reach to the right ankle. So like you're pulling your heel into your bottom. The leg's going to spiral inwards. So my heel's staying towards my bottom and my leg's rolling down to the floor as my thigh tries to roll down towards the mat here. Okay, now this is a little bit of like a thigh quad kind of stretch. We've got heel to bottom like we would if we were standing and we were trying to stretch the thighs, the quads. My knee's working itself down to the floor, so I'm encouraging it to stay down. But I'm just watching that my ribs don't flare. Because sometimes when we get really conscientious just trying to pull that knee down, the back buckles, and just to try and help it out. And really what we want to try and think is, can the rest of my trunk stay really neutral? Can it stay out of the conversation? Can I just let it be about the leg? Maybe I feel comfortable weighting it down. It might be early. We may not feel that it might be too strong. But again, it's trying to encourage that the length of these muscle fibers on the right leg to stretch and to elongate. Now we always do the opposite to this. So when we allow that knee to come up, bring the foot back onto the floor, it'll be my left hand now grabbing it. So the left leg lifts up. Well, I have to lift my up, and the left leg will also need to lift up because I come underneath now and grab hold of it with my left hand. The difference, the leg starts to spiral outwards, and as a result, we start to notice the inner leg becoming more obvious. And now it opens up. Same action if we wanted to. Left leg could weight this bottom right leg down. So it radiates all that inner groin and right up into, quite deep into the groin here. But again, if we've been snuggled up in bed really tight, this has been compressed and shortened. Okay, because of this nice tight hug that we often will have. It's nice just to stretch it out. So as we release any weight we might have on it, we can do exactly the same to the other side. Left hand, left leg, heel to bum, leg spirals inwards, quads get that stretch. Often a different conversation on the second side. Yeah, may not feel similar to the other side, might feel a bit more restrictive, might feel much looser. But often if we sit in our pose for long enough, we can hear what's really going on, what's really in the underlying of it all. We could weight it down if we felt comfortable. So sometimes, and you can probably feel it, it wants to sort of do this little springy action. Yep, springing back up. And it might need just that gentle weight of the other leg to encourage it to stay at a level where it can really feel and take on a significant stretch here. Good. And then we release it by changing hands. So same leg, but a different hand. So legs will have to come up, scoot on around, roll the thigh down to the floor. So now the thigh's turning outwards. And we weight it down, if we feel like it, with our right leg. Much different story over here. Yeah. You can tell the difference just by the way that we've spiraled the leg, how different muscle groups are identifying. So really trying to awaken these legs. Excellent. And then place the right foot back down to the floor. As we slip the left leg out, bring the ankle onto the knee. Now we're driving a little bit deeper into these hips. If you feel comfortable, bring that right leg off, we will. Otherwise, it certainly can stay onto the floor. But we've got this thigh to belly, working the left knee away from us as we work the right leg in towards us. Again, that opening of the hip, the leg turns outwards. But more lateral as opposed to before. We're feeling it more groiny, definitely more into the butt, the sky. Great, let's switch the legs. So it's right, crossing onto the left, come through. If you couldn't get this left leg, you couldn't grab hold of it because you've got your head up too high, I'd even just pop a little bolster behind the back of my head, or definitely we talked about using the wall. We don't want to try and strain the neck or the shoulders in order to work through releasing another part of the body. Okay, releasing through this right leg. Alrighty, now I've got something a little tricky for you if you want to try it, otherwise you're just going to bring your knees to your chest. If you feel like you can rock up like this, then you might get a little bit of momentum and that's okay, but you might want to rock back and up. Either way, doesn't matter, it gets us up to sit. When we get up to sit, that left leg will go long and our right leg's our little short leg, like a cobbler, so like a little butterfly pose here. Just stretch those hamstrings, raise the arms up on the inhale. Come forward nice and slowly. So we hinge from the hips as opposed to rounding that back. And we'll come through the front here, chest heading down towards this thigh. Early morning, early start. So again, these legs are probably still very, very stiff. And you might even feel a bit of a stiffness in the back as well. And this is all normal. A morning practice, and I know a lot of you that I can see that's on this morning, a morning practice is a very different practice to an evening practice. The body is, you can really tell the difference. Right hand to the outside of the left leg, left arm around behind our back, lift and twist here around to the left hand side. So now starting to get that spine more into the conversation here, more involved. And then inhale, spiral and come out so that we can switch it off to that other side. A long right leg, short left. Once again, we need to lift up, so we rise up to come through the front. Again, that gets us out of that compressed lower back. We're really mindful of trying to get that nice spaciousness between each of those vertebrae here. Chest softening into the thigh. Our left hand will come to the outside of our right foot to wrap the right arm around behind your back. And again, lift and go into that rotation, that twist here. Inhale, slowly unravel out of the twist, allow the spine to come up and back, swing the legs around. If it's comfy, come here for me into hero's pose. If it's not, stay sitting cross-legged. We'll do chin to chest. I just want to awaken the back of the neck a little bit more. It's nice just to stretch out these necks. Sometimes they get a little stiff overnight. So we'll start with chin to chest or even bolster, I don't mind, whatever allows you to feel comfortable. Hands over the head, round the spine, pull the tips of the elbows towards your thighs. Okay, we're stretching, we're opening up the back of the neck, so that sort of gentle pull of the vertebrae in this cervical part of the spine. Releasing the hands, inhale, let the spine align. Left ear, left shoulder, right hand stretching us towards the floor. This is the reason why I have this with a little bit of height. So if it might even mean that you're sitting on your block, ideally we want to be able to stretch that right hand down and not necessarily meet the floor. And this will open up the right side of the neck here. Allow that right shoulder to soften up as we bring the head back to center. Take it easy as we float it off to the right. And with that left hand subtly drawing down towards the earth. Letting the left shoulder soften back up as we allow the head to come back to center. Find all fours here, cat-cow. Another beautiful way to awaken the spine in the morning. Exhale as we curl up. And nice and slow, synchronize the breath and the movement as you inhale. Good, exhale, curl, draw the belly back up in towards the spine, widen across shoulder blades, and then inhale, off we go, other way. Do a couple more here, just feel yourself sort of moving through the rhythm of your breath. I think this one's really nice, like a sort of synchronized swimmer, sort of synchronizing breath and movement. At the end of that last one, let the back be flat into like a tabletop. And what I want us to do here is just rock back towards the heels like you're going to go into child's pose. And then come back into stacking what I'll just call like a tabletop. Yeah. And then hinge back and forward. I'm prepping the shoulders, it'll make sense in a second. And forward. So you can see that we're literally sort of moving through the shoulder capsule. At this stage, I've got a little bit of a hinge going there at those knees. Okay. So then one more, all fours. Turn the toes under. Lift up, press back into down dog. Take your time, maybe a little walk of the feet up and down. And that tabletop child's pose hinge is exactly what we're going to do again here. Okay, so when the heels anchor down, can we do this plank? So that's the tabletop and the down dog. Same idea, we're moving through these shoulders, so really starting to awaken and get that sort of, it's called synovial fluid, it's a little sort of fluid sac in all joints, and it just starts to warm it up so that it can allow all the joints to move freely. So we're doing synovial fluid in the shoulders. Get one more. And back, stay here, bring the left leg back behind you. I just have to be mindful of what I've got behind me. Knee to chest, look forward. It's a low lunge, so step and drop those hips. So really pressing back out through your right heel here. Yeah. From there, plant the right sole of the foot down onto the floor. It's a side angle pose. Your left hand will come into the inside of the leg. That right arm gets to open up. Good. Wrap it around the back if it feels nice on that right shoulder. If you want to bind, slip the left hand through. You don't have to. It's all up to you. Then you might feel comfortable with blocks, you don't have to, but as we bring the left hand back to the floor and the right arm back up to the ceiling, we're pressing through that front left foot to find triangle pose. Squeeze the left heel into the inner side, like into the center line of the mat, and open and allow the chest to expand upwards towards the ceiling. Now we're going to reverse that triangle. My right hand comes down to where this left leg is. For me, I need a block. I also need to spin on my back foot. It just allows my hips to feel squarer, and then I don't jam up my back when I reverse it the other way. You go where you feel comfortable. Soften into the left knee. We spiral out of it into reverse warrior two. Then we change it up to lunge warrior one. It just brings us to that front edge of the mat again. We drop a little deeper and press back through the right heel so we can feel this awakening here, right up there into that right hip flexor. Those little muscles that tend to want to hold on tight. Good. Come back down to the floor, revisit your down dog. A little walk out of those legs, get more calf chatter going on. Anchor the two heels equally down to the floor. Return back to plank on your inhale. Good. Let's move into down dog again. Exhale. I'm just going to do it on this right side. Inhale. Exhale. Right leg leads you behind. Knee in. Look forward, step forward. Start off in that nice low lunge to begin with. Press back through the left heel. Right knee over right ankle. As we go into the side angle pose, right hand on the inside of the right leg. Plant the back left foot. You're a little more stable that way. Open the left arm. You can look at it if you want to. Okay. Open the chest a little bit more. Wrap the arm around behind the back. Draw the elbow back. Add the bind if you feel like you can sneak that little hand through. It's a tricky one. When we release the right hand back down to the floor, the left goes to the ceiling. As we press through the right leg and straighten up, there comes that triangle pose. Squeeze that right heel into the center of the mat. Pull up those arches. The triangle reverses. Left hand will go down towards the floor. Right arm will go upwards towards the ceiling. Spin it around. A little bit tougher on that right hamstring now. Pull that right hip back. Sink back into the right knee. Okay, and everything windmills up into reverse warrior two. Here we are. Nice. Lunge warrior one. We come back to the front. We sit deep in it till we return back into that left hip flexor. Breathe out. Pop those hands softly back onto the floor. Down dog with a walk. Up, down go those heels. Good. Equally weight the heels down to the floor. Transition to your plank. Soften the knees down to the floor. Chin to the floor with a cobra coming out of this one. Inhale, slither. And there's the back work. Okay. Slow and soft and steady with the breath. Lighter hold of the floor. Less pressure. Loose the hands if we can. Good. Softly lay the hands back down onto the floor. Push up. Press back. Sit back into the heels. If we can come back to this seated hero pose, otherwise cross-legged. Any arm will do. Any arm will do for your eagle arms. Separate the shoulder blades. We haven't done a lot of opening of the back. Cat does. Again, these backs tend to love holding on tight. Easy arms down. Give me a quick switch over to the other side. Wrap, left, widen and separate. Easy arms back down. Again, unwrap. Bring the arms back by the sides. Sit on anything that feels comfortable. It could be your blocks, it could be your bolster, wherever it might be. And allow the spine to be long. Feeling ourselves quite anchored down onto the sit bones. So that the sit bones have got like little tree roots coming out of them. We're grounding ourselves into the earth. The crown of the head, the enlightenedness of us, as though we're reaching towards the sky. There's this sort of beautiful long conduit of a spine here that's like that radiant spine where all of our energy source is. And we notice that when the spine is nice and long, often we allow the spine to be, create an analogy around the spine like as though it's like a straw. And imagine what happens when a straw sort of gets all sort of crumpled and crushed. Then we can't allow the beautiful flow of liquid through it. We can't sip that drink that we're so keen to finish because the straw is collapsed. And the spine's the same. If we collapse the spine, our energy flow is depleted. So sit tall, sit proud. Allow the energy to flow smoothly and freely throughout the body. Let the breath flow smoothly and freely. Our breath is that life source. It is our beam of energy. As we come to close our practice, as we come to seal and honour that opportunity to gently and kindly and compassionately awaken the body and bring in that life force of, in Chinese medicine we call it the qi, our life energy, our prana. We'll walk through today with that beautiful erect spine, that proud, long, energy-filled spine. As the hands come and meet us at the heart center. Let's honour our practice with namaste. Namaste. Thank you everyone for joining me on another beautiful Tuesday morning. We have been so blessed with some gorgeous days. Make the most of your day, only you can do that. Namaste.